At an undisclosed location in Yuma, Arizona, Emily Rosebot and her roommate Miranda broadcast from separate rooms of their apartment complex a series of critiques of vintage and contemporary video games. These are some of them.
Hey, Miranda, did you move my Tetris mug?
I needed it to trap a space spider. It's now structurally unsound.
You microwaved a bug in my Tetris mug?
Correction. I vaporized a space intruder using vintage ceramic warfare. You can thank me later. I'd like to take a step up, graphically. So far we've done ColecoVision and Sega's Saturn. So are we just staying in the 80s and 90s today?
Heavens no. Now we're going to talk about Rocky on the Nintendo Gamecube. Based on the classic movies, you actually get to fight as not only Rocky Balboa, but Apollo Creed, Clubber Lang, and even Ivan Drago.
You forgot to mention the other contenders in this game. Name drops you probably heard from the movies. You ever wanted to throw hands with Big Chuck Smith? Does anyone know who Big Chuck Smith is?
Of course I do. Apollo's trainer said he was too old and dull.
You mean the one with the vanilla ice haircut? Yeah, you can't get more old and dull than that.
Anyway, it's not just about fighting the main movie villains. That'll make the game too easy, too quick. That's part of the fun, working your way up. You start as nobody Rocky and fight your way to the top. Even Spider Rico is in this.
Spire Rico. The legendary pugilists who, let's see, head-butted Rocky that one time. Truly a pivotal figure in boxing history.
It's all about authenticity, Miranda. And the story mode follows the movies pretty well. You even get to train in between fights. Speed bag, sit-ups, jump rope. It's like a real montage.
Yes, nothing gets me more hyped for a boxing match than an extended series of QuickTime events. It's what every player dreams about. Pressing buttons to make a virtual man do cardio.
But training is important. If you mess up, Rocky won't be as strong for the next fight. You have to work for your stats, just like a real boxer.
Or, and hear me out here, you can auto-train and avoid the pain of botching a jump rope exercise like a malfunctioning Roomba.
That's only if you're lazy. The combat is great, though. You can throw jabs, hooks, uppercuts. It's not just button mashing.
Oh sure, there's strategy. Just don't expect, actual realistic boxing. It's less sweet science and more Rocky throws 48 punches in 10 seconds while Clubber Lang stands there absorbing it like a sponge.
That's the fun of it. And the arenas are just like in the movies. Madison Square Garden, the Soviet Union, and the Philadelphia Gym.
Ah, yes. Pixel-perfect recreations of dimly lit sports centers and bars. Breathtaking.
But you have to admit, the cutscenes and the voiceovers are kind of cool.
Yeah, Stallone and Mr. T. Those are the only authentic voices you hear. But they're recycled from the films.
Okay, yeah, some voice actors fill in for missing lines and such, but you still feel like you're in a Rocky movie.
Right, because nothing immerses you more than Apollo Creed suddenly sounding like he's reading a script at the DMV. It's not even the late Carl Weathers providing the voice. Geez, these sound-alikes range from decent to, oh bless their hearts.
Ugh, you're being so nitpicky, Miranda. At least it has the music. Well, most of the music.
You mean not Eye of the Tiger? Because licensing is hard? But no worries. they gave us a spiritually similar tune. Very legally distinct.
It still gets you pumped, and you can even unlock Mickey.
Yes, because the world has been desperate for a 76-year-old trainer with a 5-inch reach to step into the ring against Ivan Drago. Huh. Next, you're gonna tell me you can unlock the Rocky statue.
Well, it's all about options, and the fights get really intense, just like in the movies. You'll take a pounding, but if you heady in there, you can make that epic Rocky comeback and win just in the final round.
Assuming the ref doesn't stop the fight, or the crowd doesn't riot, or Adrian doesn't storm in and demand you retire mid-match.
She's not even in the game.
Exactly. Historically inaccurate.
But the point is, Rocky on the Nintendo Gamecube is an awesome boxing game. The graphics are great, the gameplay is solid, and if you love the Rocky movies, this is one of the best ways to step into the ring yourself.
That is, if you can survive the training, the stamina management, and the sheer heartbreak of realizing you will never actually be as good as the movie Rocky.
I can be as good as movie Rocky.
Sure, kid, and I'm the voice of reason. Oh wait, I am.
It's fun, this game. That's the whole point, honey. And you can fight in exhibition mode, a knockout tournament, or spar with a friend.
The ultimate test of friendship, mercilessly pummeling each other with clunky GameCube controllers.
You're impossible. This game has got great boxing, tons of fighters, and lets you relive the movies in a way no other game does. What would happen if you pitted Apollo Creed against Clubber Lang in an exhibition? Who would win?
That can either be explored in someone's fan fiction, or you can play against the CPU to find out. Or a friend. If any. If you can handle some stiff animations, questionable voice acting, and a soundtrack that legally cannot be called Rocky's greatest hits.
That just makes it charming.
Sure, if that's the word we're using.
It is. Final verdict, Rocky is a knockout.
And yet, I feel like the real winner is nostalgia.
I'll take it.
I just want to say one thing to my wife and home. Y'all want to see it?
You know, once you sift through all these masculine games our landlord left behind,
Not to mention the copious amount of dirty magazines.
you'll actually find some titles that fall into some kind of gender-neutral category. They're not really targeted towards boys or girls or those in between.
Does that mean they're made for just us cool droids? Oh, I've always wanted Nintendo and Sega to think of those players not made of flesh or fur.
And this one came out for the Nintendo Wii U and a few other consoles like the PlayStation 3. It's DuckTales Remastered.
Remastered? What did they do? Turn out the contrast and replace the soundtrack with someone playing a kazoo?
What? No. This is a remake of the 8-bit version of DuckTales that came out for the Nintendo console back in the 1980s. Capcom teamed up with the humans over at Way Forward to spice up the game with new animations, extra levels, and even many of the original voices from the cartoon that this game is based on.
Oh, now I get it. This is just a nostalgic cash cow. Oh, just add a coat of paint to something that already exists and the humans will just eat it up. Of course, makes perfect sense.
That's not it, though. Capcom and WayForward just reimagined the classic NES game. Now they're able to flesh out the story a little more. It first starts with those Beagle Boys trying to break into Uncle Scrooge's money bin, which is now an extra level in this game.
Oh, and here I thought it was Elon Musk's Playhouse. What else makes this game so great?
The controls, Moran. There's this cool move called the Pogo Jump, which was carried over from the original Nintendo game. It's so simple to pull off and tons of fun, see?
Admittedly, it does agree with my brand of controller. Did the graphics really change that much?
Oh, you betcha! Every character looks like a Disney animator got a hold of them. And we're given that distinct look that you see in the cartoon. It's amazing. The sound is beautiful too. The human who used to voice Uncle Scrooge lends his voice to the game. Not just in the cutscenes, but little quips and comments that can be heard during actual gameplay. It's really charming to hear.
Looks like they're catering to the classic Disney fans and lovers of the cartoon show. What about if you've never watched the cartoon or played the original game?
Humans can still have fun with it, I think. With the new levels added in and extra ground to cover in those original levels, players will be at this game for some time, tracking down each treasure that Uncle Scrooge needs to win the game. He'll be after green cheese, ancient scepters, gold crowns, and lots more. Sounds like the ultimate adventure.
Well, sounds like work. Uncle Scrooge has to be well into his 80s. Maybe those 3 nephews of his can pick up the torch or something?
I don't know, Moran. I think they do better as his support team, offering him help, kind of like Mrs. Beakley does when she drops those food power-ups to replenish any lost energy during your quest.
It's amazing. This nanny drops whole cakes and ice cream. It's a wonder he doesn't gain 65 pounds by the end of this game. I guess all this traveling is how he stays so fit. Or he's got insane medical insurance that covers liposuction every Tuesday.
Oh, hush, Miranda. You're overthinking this. DuckTales Remastered is an absolute epic trip around the fictional town of Duckburg and much more, collecting as much gems and riches as you can get your greedy little hands on. Think of it this way. The more riches you collect, the deeper your money bin gets.
Is that the ultimate goal? To swim in a sea of 300 billion coins? I've seen senators do that without all the globe-trotting.
Oh, what am I gonna do with you? Actually, you can use the money that you won to unlock special features in the gallery. It's fun discovering bonuses and special levels in this game. Makes you feel like you're adding to Scrooge's adventures.
Oh, you're adding something to Scrooge, all right. Lots and lots of bunions and a broken cane from all this pogoing he does.
Why, that looks like the same spaceship that took off with Fenton. Well, I guess this means I'm invited on board.
Hey, Moran, can you imagine if video game characters had to appear in court over a lawsuit?
In court? No. Now, seeing Donkey Kong and Mario fight over the girl on an episode of Jerry Springer? That I can imagine. Why do you ask, anyway?
Well, because I've been reading loads of court cases involving retro 80s games, even one lawsuit regarding the aforementioned Donkey Kong. Another lawsuit involved clones of Pac-Man, like one that came out for the Odyssey 2 console in 1981. They called it K.C. Munchkin.
Sure. Sounds like a name that should end in Esquire. So, what happened? Did the humans at Namco sue these guys over copying Pac-Man?
Actually, it was Atari. This was around the time their version of Pac-Man was in development for their 2600 system. They got the exclusive license to make a home version of the arcade Pac-Man.
And we all know how that turned out.
Oh, cut them some slack, Miranda. They were working with the technology they had at the time. Heck, nowadays you can get Pac-Man on your phone easily.
And lawsuit free. But this K.C Munchkin doesn't look like a complete ripoff of Pac-Man. Look, the dots are moving. That doesn't happen in Pac-Man. Unless you're baked beyond recognition.
Well, I agree with that first part anyway. The Odyssey 2 had an alphanumeric keyboard, so you were able to select numerous play fields, including some that disappear when you start moving around, adding a whole new level of difficulty. You can even program your own mazes, so if you don't like how selection number 4 looks, you can change it.
It's not perfect, though. Anyone who tries out this maze maker will most likely be a little disappointed with its limitations.
But how many games back in the early 1980s let players build their own levels? Come on, this had to be revolutionary.
Nah, not revolutionary enough to keep it on the store shelves, it seems.
True, but hey, the following year, the game's original developer, Ed Averitt, created a very different sequel to Munchkin. This one was titled K.C.'s Crazy Chase. This time, you're not collecting dots, munching up ghosts and power pills like your Pac-Man's turquoise-colored cousin. No, no, no. This time, you're up against an insect-looking thing called the Dreadapillar and a pair of draps that roam around each labyrinth.
But why, oh why is this dude spinning around while he's putzing here and there all over the maze? Is that the developer's way of distinguishing between his creation and Pac-Man? Hey, look you guys, Pac-Man doesn't flip around like an alien gymnast now, does he?
I think that's kind of neat. Even if it is a goofy character trait for any video game character to have, it seems to work here.
Helps take your mind off the fact he's eating the segments off this insect monstrosity. Don't mind my silly flips, I'm just eating your neck clean off like I'm Katana from Mortal Kombat.
Fatality.
This sequel also has a maze maker so players can customize levels and add or take away sections of existing mazes. How cool is that? I know you said it's not as in-depth as today's level designers like Super Mario Maker, where you can build your own worlds from the ground up, but for 1982 and limited programming space, I gotta give them credit. It may be similar in nature to Pac-Man, but I think the guide behind the games did enough to separate it from its initial inspiration.
Yeah, it looks like everyone left this sequel alone, plus Atari got what they wanted. Their own version of Pac-Man that, despite making them able to sleep on a bed of $10 bills, looked nothing like Pac-Man.
That can be a story for another time.
Well, now, you let me know what time that will be so I know when to inexplicably go for a jog.
Okay, sure. Hey, wait a minute. Hey, good news! I just downloaded another game off the PlayStation Network.
Imagine the smile on my face if my maker wasn't some kind of vindictive engineer. So, what did you grab?
It's called Inside, and we can play it on the PS4.
Inside what? Baseball?
Well, I don't know. It just says inside. From the looks of the opening scene, though, it doesn't look like it's going to be one of those cute-looking platform games.
What a relief. Anytime we look at one of those, I feel like I should create a simulation of what it's like to throw up in my mouth.
Ill? So, this game isn't giving us much of a backstory? You just assume the role of this kid who's thrown into a dark and scary world.
I've often wondered what Amish country would look like at 3 a.m. when they ditch the horse and carriage in favor of shadowy, unmarked trucks. Not to mention the vans your mom told you to avoid after school.
This looks like secret government stuff, Moran. Like they're hunting for E.T. Except, I'm not seeing any alien here. So, what did this kid do to cause these guys to chase after you with vans and rabid dogs?
Maybe the kid stole the formula for Coca-Cola. Or these dudes want to pound him for his lunch money. Nothing screams fun Saturday like being a nameless child in a soulless industrial dystopia. Say that 5 times fast. Honestly, the color palette is what I imagine my hard drive feels like when I delete something. Gray, lifeless, and full of regret.
It's got puzzles, Miranda. Real brain twisters. You're dodging dogs, spotlights, creepy science experiments, and the vibe, it is dripping with atmosphere.
Atmosphere, yes. That delightful feeling where every room looks like the inside of a haunted microwave.
That's the point. It's unsettling on purpose. There are mind-controlled zombies, parasite pigs.
Uh-huh. It screams critically acclaimed indie darling, like steering a horde of corporate casual corpses into a meat grinder puzzle.
Okay, well, rude. But, yeah, you don't really fight anything. You just try not to die in horrific ways. And sometimes you do. Horribly.
No soundtrack cues, no comforting retry screens, just the thud of your tiny body hitting the floor like a sack of potatoes.
But it's beautiful.
In a very emotionally scarring kind of way, sure.
The way the world tells its story without a single word?
You mean the lack of story? It's like being handed a jigsaw puzzle, only there's no box and half of the pieces are wet.
Exactly. It makes you think. Some say it's humanity being wiped out. Others think it's some kind of corporate science experiment gone rogue.
I think it's about needing therapy.
I think it's amazing. You jump, swim, mind hack zombie interns, and hey, you even drive around in this cool-looking sub for a few minutes. I mean, what more can you want?
What more could I want? How about color? The designers don't need to turn the color saturation up to 1,000,000. I'm not saying that, but at least try not to look like a Bob Ross painting with a case of seasonal depression.
But didn't that give you a sense of urgency? It really set a mood as I was uncovering more of the game's world. It went from mysterious to downright freaky. I mean, take a look at this. Have you ever seen anything so crazy in your life?
Yeah, I think I saw this on an episode of South Park once.
They took your dad! They took your dad! They took our dad! Take your dad!
I don't think that was their source of inspiration. You'll be happy to know this isn't a super long game. I finished it inside of an hour or so. I might go back and see if there was any secrets that I might have missed.
Indeed. Maybe the secret government folks left behind some nuclear launch codes in their break room locker.
Ha, ha, ha. No one on this planet would be that careless, Miranda. Right?